Today we will talk about Velo, primarily because of the insane price action over the last 24 hours or so, and why that might be happening. And it also has ties into timing of events involving SHX and XRP. Velo, SHX, and XRP are all connected to XLM, and the individuals behind each of the companies, which in our case here is coming back into Jed McCaleb. Before I get into charts, I want to talk about some things happening with Velo that have generated a lot of hype. However, there is real world applications and utility coming out sometime in the next week or so. And that is around the Orbit platform, which I will explain more on. But in today's content, I want to talk about its impact on price that is happening now. We have a tweet from crypto banker SHX here that is calling out a comment on the star on the original Velo logo might have been a nod to China, and that Velo is a decentralized settlement bank, and we are able to see that logo here. I also thought it was pretty interesting that in the Velo official Telegram, they highlighted my YouTube video that was connecting Velo into bricks, oil, and CBDCs that involved Project Bridge. Here they are calling it out again, and here it did get an interesting highlight. And I just want to make it extremely clear, I don't think that this is the Velo organization itself saying that my content is 100% correct, but I do think it's interesting that they would highlight a particular video that was made by a person who has no involvement with Velo at all. I also found it interesting that they don't seem to actually call out YouTube videos a lot, and that they had also called out one by Crypto Canvas. So I just think that it's interesting that the official Telegram with almost 100,000 people in it would be calling out content that is making people aware of the amount of connections that Velo has. To connect the SHX topic here, I did think it was interesting that right after the May with Tammy Camp, we have this increase in the price of Velo, and the AMA didn't really sound as if it was all that positive. It got a lot of critical feedback on it that they didn't actually explain anything, and I will talk more about that probably in a video tomorrow. However, there is a lot of utility and adoption that Stronghold and SHX are preparing for.
That we do have an upcoming announcement that will expand the footprint of the customers that we will serve. So stay tuned for the upcoming announcement in the coming months of something that will allow us to do something in that arena.
I think that one of the more important things out of that entire AMA was that she is indirectly calling out the involvement of the XRPL and Stellar here, which all goes back into how they are incredibly interconnected. And as for the whole XRP tie, it's not really a direct one, but there has been a lot of talk around Ripple and XRP again, because on Monday, April 22nd, Ripple will file its response to the SEC's request. and the SEC has until May 6th to reply. There is no final pretrial conference because the SEC dismissed charges against Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson. And I have commented a few times on how Velo talks about it is their core mission to be the Ripple of Asia. And when Jed McCaleb is involved, who originally came from Ripple before he went off to create Stellar, and how Velo has at least one other person from Ripple involved, it just goes back to the connections that are being talked about with events happening now that involve Velo, SHX, XLM. Now to talk about some price. Now, I won't try to predict anything, and I'm not a technical analysis guy, but it does seem that even on the 1 week chart, Velo is trying to push up to this local high of about 2.5 cents that goes all of the way back to August of 2022. And after that, it seems as if there are some old resistances that we are approaching now of just about 2 cents, 3.5, 6.5, about 30 cents, 59 cents or so, and then one more around about 88 cents before there's not really anything up until its old all-time high of just under $2. And the action here since about May of 2023 has been in a distribution pattern after that spike in price that turned into an accumulation pattern, which we are now turning out of. And once it pops the local high here and it has that momentum behind it, then it will tend to want to continue that. So it will be interesting to keep an eye on. Now, as far as SHX goes, it went up about 2,600% off of its low before it has pulled back over the last couple of months. And if we have that same kind of a pattern happen, a 2,600% increase would put us at just about 5.8 cents, which would be a huge increase over where we were even about a month ago, which was about half a cent. Here is a chart that is Velo over SHX, and it shows that for about a year and a half, each of them were about 1-to-1 in terms of overall price action. Here is where SHX popped up and has pulled back. Now we have Velo coming up, which would tell me that people have taken profits out of SHX and put them into Velo to expand on their returns and gains. I have talked about the chart here, which is SHX over IBM, which is an interesting one because if you look at each of the charts individually, IBM tends to move before SHX does. And our chart here shows that it has been in this distribution pattern and is in an accumulation pattern now, just about halfway in between the local low and high. And it doesn't seem as if there is a lot of change happening there at this time. So I'm not expecting a big increase in SHX price until we can see some more clear examples of how SHX is being implemented. And with their presentation at the NACHA conference in May, I think we might have some very positive events happen at about that time.